Hey, what up, everybody? I got an update here about the Dallas school shooting. Let's get into it. Well, see people here. Let me fast forward it a little bit if I can.
That happened at Wilmer Hutchins High School. Thank you.
Uh, Here we go. And shout out to WFAA for this. Here we go.
Robin.
Hope y'all can hear it.
Want to thank everyone for their patience and understanding as we prepare to provide information on the shooting that happened at our Wilmer Hutchins High School. As you can imagine, yesterday we were busy trying to track down information and prepare our investigation and move forward with that, and then be able to update you all today. This is obviously not something that we want to happen, but we understand the violence that is happening in our communities, not only in Dallas but throughout the state. Um, First of all, I'd like to take a moment and thank the Dallas Independent School District Police, our men and women who were there and did everything they needed to do to get inside that school. The Dallas Police Department, the Texas Department of Public Safety, DART Police, Dallas County Sheriff's Office, the Hutchins Police Department, Dallas Fire Rescue, the ATF, the FBI, the Dallas Constable's Office, and the Dallas County Marshal's Office. The Dallas Independent School District Police is the lead investigative agency. In
Sorry
this
about the
shooting,
ads.
we are committed to making our schools the safe haven that we all expect. Safety is everyone's responsibility, and it starts in our communities and continues on in our schools. Dallas ISD Police and Security and the district schools monitoring teams spend an enormous time training, along with carrying out those monitoring duties, ensuring that our safety and security is taking place in these schools, including Wilmer Hutchins, and reviewing our safety protocols on how we can be better. We also have a duty to you all, to the community, to be transparent and accurate with our information, but we also have to be responsible on providing that information, again, to make sure that we are being accurate and we are providing you all with the most capable or most useful information at the time. Of course, it takes time to gain an accurate picture of what happened. We understand the frustrations, parents and students, and trust me, we're all feeling that frustration, and we are frustrated ourselves. Each of you know how detrimental sharing incorrect intel can be. This is still an active investigation, so not everything can be shared, but we are again, conducting our investigation. So, based on video evidence at Wilmer Hutchins High School, at 12:56 p.m., the shooter arrives at the Wilmer Hutchins High School parking lot and parks his vehicle on the north side of the school. At 12:58 p.m., the shooter exits his vehicle, walks around to the west side of the school, and approaches a side door or back door, which was locked and it was secure. At 1:01 p.m., another student opens that locked door on the west side of the building, and the student enters, or I should say the shooter. The shooter is observed walking down the hallway towards the cafeteria.
I hope y'all
That's
can
at
hear it.
1:02. At the same time, at 2 p.m., the shooter opens fire and wounds 4 students, and the other students that were in that hallway scramble away from the shooter. At 1:03 p.m., the shooter is fleeing and exiting out the same door, and then he runs back to the vehicle that he had in the parking lot at the north side of the school, enters that vehicle, and leaves the campus. timeline from the point of entry into the school to the time he exits is less than 2 minutes. I do want to correct some misconceptions and share what we can. We've worked on our safety protocols. Again, this entry was not made through the front doors, the metal detectors. We talked about that. Obviously, we were here about a year ago talking about this very situation, but this did not happen through our front doors or through our metal detectors. Our safety protocols were being followed by our staff and our officers. Our metal detectors were operating effectively. I want to emphasize to you all that all doors at this campus were locked and were secured. As you know now, the suspect is in custody, and he was a student enrolled in Wilmer Hutchins High School. Our student privacy limits does not allow the district to confirm his name. The suspect was let's see, again mentioning here that 4 students were wounded in the shooting. Another 5th student suffered a injury, but that was more of a scrape or a bruise from the falling and running. Dr. Elizalde and the school leadership team members have reached out to the families of the victims who are expected to make a full recovery. We're aware of an unauthorized video circulating social media that appears to be from the school's surveillance camera. We are investigating how this video came about or how it was accessed and released. And at this time, we cannot fully confirm or cannot confirm the validity of the content. At this time, our school, Wilmer Hutchins High School, will remain closed. It was already going to be closed on Monday. Our staff will return on Tuesday, and we expect our students will return on Wednesday unless the superintendent and our staff or cabinet members decide otherwise. With that, I'm going to open it to you all for questions. So,
have you ever poked tiny holes on your face? Not only did it take forever for my beard to grow,
Sorry
it had
about
these
that.
annoying little
yes, ma'am. So, in these situations, first of all, we're dealing with a very large high school. Our protocols are very simple. We go in to stop the killing, stop the dying. It's written in law, it's written in our policy. Once we've established that, we're rendering aid, ensuring we get the students out, and then we start sweeping the school. So by the time we finish with all that, then we're getting information. This is a potential shooter. Usually, as if with all these situations, there's always a second shooter, real or imagined. So by the time we're getting all this information, when we established that we had information, we sent out teams to go find him. At the time, we did not feel that we needed to put out that information. Maybe it was slower, maybe it wasn't. But it wasn't going to exactly do a public good to put it out immediately. We also didn't really have a good description. We had a name. Actually, we had several names. But that being said, we sent out our law enforcement teams to go find him.
Sir, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
What are normal intake hours, and are there only metal detectors at the front doors and not anywhere else in the school?
The protocol at the school is they come in through that front door at intake hours and after intake. So in other words, once the bell rings and school starts, the intake, the late arrival as we call it, is at the front entrance where there are metal detectors. The protocol is everybody comes in from there. Again, it's in our practice, in our student conduct, that those doors are not open when somebody's outside at the other doors.
Or secure then, how is that student able to just open the door?
It's got a push bar, right? We have to have those doors available to be open from the inside because of fire code. Sure. So secure, it just means it's locked, and it cannot be opened from the outside. They can be opened from the inside, like any doors that you see, probably even in your own building, where you just push it open to go out, but that's in compliance with fire code.
So why are there not metal detectors at other doors?
Sure. It's we've worked very hard. As you all know, again, we were having this conversation a year ago. And what I mentioned to you all when we were talking or being safety protocols, the things that we did those things. I'm here to tell you I believe because we did those things that gunman was not able to get in through the front
in a second.
Ahorita para ese estudiante que abrió la puerta, es una, vamos a hacer las policies del distrito en esa persona, pero también vamos a buscar a ver si hay cargos criminales. So, mándeme. Sí, señor. Yes. So what they asked was, is the student that opened the door facing criminal charges? That student did violate code of conduct of our handbook, so he will administrative penalties. But that is also incorporated in our criminal investigation, and we'll determine if there will be criminal charges.
Sir, you mentioned we were here a year ago talking about the incident at the same high school, and the superintendent said we're going to do everything to make sure this doesn't happen again. Now that it has, what do you say to parents who don't trust their students to be safe?
Well, first of all, we recognize but second, we've been working on these protocols continuously. It's not ever stable, right? But what you will see different is, as we continue through the school year, is more police and security. We're increasing staffing. We're also adding school leadership. But in the meantime, that's the front end. That's we want them to be assured that we're keeping it safe. But at the same time, we're going back to the drawing board and what else can we do with technology, with personnel, through our procedures and our processes of how do we enhance this. Plus, the other part is we have a large student body there. How do we incorporate them better in the safety and security? I'll give you an example. We just recognized a fourth grader 10 days ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago, for recognizing at another school that somebody was trying to come in through the back door. A fourth grader recognizing this person should be allowed in. He goes tells an adult. Here we have somebody much older, and I get it, it's some teenage ways of thinking, but we have to keep emphasizing that we're all responsible for that.
And sir, a follow-up really quickly.
But so, sí, vamos a garantir que vamos a estar ahí y proteger la escuela. Porque queremos, ahorita estamos en medio de testing y queremos que sepan los padres y los estudiantes, los escolares, que van a estar, la seguridad está ahí. Como les digo, ahorita estamos haciendo todo lo que podemos antes de esto y también ahorita y después.
When we decided to finish our basement, flooring was one of our first priorities. I knew I wanted a wide plank, and when I found floor to mow
Already invested in metal detectors. This is another incident, someone who rented where shooters are getting through side doors. I mean, how do we prevent this from happening? This could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely. I can tell you that there are metal detectors there, but we don't allow intake there, right? We've even talked about putting sensors on the doors. Can you remove the handles from the outside of the doors? But there's a fire code, and that's a balance. So we run into that with DFR inspections to ensure that there's an ability, if we have a fire alarm happen or an actual fire, they have to be able to get out. We can't go back to the days of chaining those doors and nobody can get out, nobody can get in. And that's the balance that we're facing. Yes, sir.
After last year's shooting, Superintendent Elizalde pointed out the vulnerabilities of the many doors in the school, and so that you would work with the schools to identify those and conduct an after-action review. What were the results of that review?
Well, again, those doors remain locked. I can tell you, without getting way too deep into it for safety and security, our maintenance staff conduct sweeps of those doors to ensure they're locked. We actually get penalties from the state, or at least through their audits, if they find that a door is not closing properly. Our police and security conduct those sweeps as well. Our staff are constantly monitoring those doors. We have outside patrols when we have our patrol officers coming through. So those protocols are in place. And then now again, can we be there 24/7? No, we cannot. Or through the entire school day. But how do we make that better through those sensors? How do we leverage the technology?
What led the student to return back to campus
be aware. So yes, we are aware of the gang dispute. We are working with the Dallas Police Department. We're not sure if this is actually a gang dispute or is there something less, more involved to this, but that is our investigation. No, sir. Yeah. Okay.
Close talking about the situation with parents and as well as, I know that we're going through all the weekend, kind of regrouping what happens next. You know that school's off, they don't, I think it says back Tuesday and then kids back
Yes,
on
ma'am.
Monday. So what do we do now? Like what happens now?
So on the front end, you will see again a larger police presence. The superintendent's made decisions to bring in other school leaders into the campus, as well as additional staff, so that we can increase our presence, so that we can establish a stronger presence around checking the schools and providing support to the school. At the same time, while we're doing that, we will, again, going back to the drawing board and look at what else can we do better? The buzzers on the doors, right? And then if that happens, how do we react to it? You know, most of y'all know I served 30 years, almost 30 years with the Dallas Police Department. And part of the reason why we never went to ShotSpot, unlike Chicago, is because we don't have the density. But we didn't have the police officers to go respond because Chicago does that when you're immediately there. So we got to put those protocols in place that if that buzzer goes off, we need to be there within a minute. And that may mean the team that we have. I'm just trying to give you details of how we would react faster so we can see. Those are the things we do. Yes, ma'am.
And so with regard to like immediately, like today, our support departments are gathering together with regard to what do we need to do also to support staff when they're returning on Tuesday. And so everyone from both on the school leadership side, from our mental health side, we will absolutely have additional staff members. Our chief of police pointed to the number of doors, and I don't remember off the top of my head the number of doors that there are, you know, because you'll have one entrance, I know you have all the angles, you know, like one entrance has 8 side-by-side doors, right? But when we collectively yesterday at our first debrief with all the team members, there are actually 13 entrances
sit at a desk for any amount of time, this is the chair for you. It has 14 adjustment points, so the chair can be set up exactly how you want without compromising on anything. The chair has a max.
No, ma'am.
A couple questions for the students that we're gonna target, or does it appear to be?
I won't get into the details of that, but we do believe he went in there specifically targeting an individual, and that's as deep as we'll go with that.
Or was it just trying to, was it an accomplice?
Right. That's what we're investigating. How deep is the culpability there? Yes, ma'am.
Sir, after last year's incident, you did an after-action review. Did that after-action review identify these 13 entrances around the school as taking action then about this?
We did, in that we were very aware that there's multiple doors. You know, you look at all our schools, right? Any high school or middle school, everybody has a lot of doors. What we consider, again, was doing the constant sweeps and checking the doors, making sure that they remain locked. We recognize that we cannot be posted at those doors or those different sets of doors all the time. But now with this incident, we go back and say, okay, what else can we do? That's our responsibility to our students and to our faculty and to our community. Yes. Yeah, so we did upgrade our cameras. Thank you, Superintendent. We did upgrade our cameras, and we also have a security operations center that we also use to help us in these incidences or to monitor.
And that's because of last incident to upgrade the cameras.
Yes, yeah, well, part of that in the bond package, and that has helped us tremendously because it's got artificial intelligence in it as well, like most cameras nowadays. Yes, ma'am.
Suspected shooter got the gun and will parents and
If the investigation reveals that they have some type of culpability to providing that weapon, they will face charges, but we do not know where that weapon came from. Monday. Creíamos que entró con esa decisión que estaba buscando algo. Pero es parte de la investigación, so no puedo avisarle más de eso. Y en parte es de tener una presencia grande de la policía, pero también de más maestros y administradores de la escuela. Yes, sir. Pues en eso no debe que pasar. Cuando alguien le habla al 911, es necesario que la operadora o operador tome esa llamada y que comiencen a hacer preguntas, que hagan las preguntas para determinar qué es lo que está pasando.
some schools saying that the clear backpack protocol and other things aren't followed sometimes when they look at not actually in their backpacks. And again, when we confirm that the student already had a knife on him when he came to school.
We cannot confirm that. This is the first that I've heard of that, but we will be looking into it and we'll again review our videos and see what we see.
The clear backpack protocol.
That's being looked at as well, but that will be an administrative process. I cannot confirm that. Gentlemen, we'll have to review the video to see if he was actually there.
What if eating your dog fresh Whole Foods was easy? At Sundays for Dog.
It's a good question. I don't know that it was preventable. When somebody puts their mind to it and we're doing everything that we can, I mean, it's probably best preventable that door wasn't open. Again, the student may not have any criminal culpability, right? gotta connect. You know, one of the theories out there, or maybe it's reality, the way we prevent school shootings is by having a student that can connect to at least one person, whether it's a teacher, a police officer, a student, a football team member, or a chess member, chess club member, anything, so that they feel connected. That's where the bottom line is for us, not just the law enforcement side, but through our school leadership and police department. What's unique about this police department compared to Dallas Police, where I served, was that we have an opportunity to do much more. And that's yes, sir.
Chief, in the immediate aftermath, we talked to students who said that their teachers led them to action immediately, locking doors, telling them to hide in the corner, and saying that they came into their classroom. What do you think hearing that?
Yes, so we go through that training every year. We talk about it. We have the Raptor alert. We have all these protocols. That is key, because in a real sense, they are the first responder, right? I mean, we did have a police officer on campus and a public safety officer, and they have a job to do. But our teachers, as you said, will do everything they can. Again, we have amazing teachers, amazing staff, but they are part of that front line, and it's our obligation to them to not only keep them safe, but to train them when things like this happen.
This is, so the questions y'all are asking, I hope that you recognize those are the very same questions that we ask ourselves. And it is absolutely tragic when the students, overwhelming majority of the students who show up every day at this school are working so that one day maybe they can be who you are, so they can be a reporter, so they can be a teacher, so they can be a fireman, a police officer. And our students, there are some students who are dealing with a lot of things outside of the school. And we also know that it is still our responsibility to do our very best. Those doors, I just need to reiterate, those doors by law have to be able to be opened from the inside, because you all would be right back here if some other tragedy occurs and those doors were not able to be opened and kids and adults needed to enter. So while there are certainly many things that, again, we will go back and we will look, this is an instance where someone had something they were intent on doing. While we can't give specifics, what appears to be clear is that this was not random in terms of the intent. And again, the culpability of the other individual that created the vulnerability is still under investigation. And so our law enforcement will take that lead. Our teachers, I also heard from our students, from our parents, and how the teachers immediately did their protocols, put the doors on lock, put the kids behind their desks, and stood in front. Those teachers did all of that to ensure that all of the students were safe, and that puts themselves at risk. So there is nothing that a district member wishes we could figure out. If we knew exactly how to solve this problem, we would solve it. It's going to take all of us. And yes, there are absolutely things we could do better. Please note that the first thing that we did was ensure that the kids that were injured were receiving or rendered aid immediately, and that we were sweeping the school to ensure that the shooter was no longer there. Was it only one shooter? It's very, very complex, and we appreciate your all's patience. We want to give accurate information. We want to be transparent. You all have experienced with other recent events what happens when information gets out that isn't accurate. And so it's very, very challenging to try to get as much information to you as possible. And this is a very, very heavy feeling for every staff that will be there for the last 23 school days throughout the entire day. It's not just gonna be when the students arrive. They will be there the entire time that the school is in session, so that this one vulnerability that we now see, we can do something about that from now until the end of the school year. And we also know it's something we're gonna have to consider, that the entire state, the entire country has to consider, that every single school, because Wilmer Hutchins is not unique in terms of how many how many doors you have. So thank you very much.
Okay, sound like that's it.